Hello, welcome to Earnest Prattle. My name's Paul Wardle, and this is my little enclave of joy and conversation. First of all, can I just start by saying a big thank you to all of those people that contacted me in relation to my last video, which was episode 5, which was called Wayne. And I've had some really great feedback from people saying that what I did was really brave and it's helped them in relation to their own personal mental health issues. And people have also told me that they've looked for some help. So if I've assisted anybody, even just one person, then that really was worthwhile. So thank you, everybody. And if you'd like to still watch that video, it's available on the Earnest Prattle channel on YouTube. So you can still watch that if you haven't seen it yet. A bit of housekeeping. Can I just say, would you please consider liking the videos, subscribing, that's really important, maybe sharing the videos or leaving a comment. Any interactions at all, I really appreciate it, and it makes it really worthwhile if you get involved, so I really appreciate that. Today's show, Earnest Prattle, edition 6. The theme is school days. I've got a lovely friend called Annette, who we went to school with, and we're going to have an interesting conversation about school days. I mean, for you, how was your school life? Did you enjoy school? Did you hate school? Did you have a school crush? Did you have a favourite teacher? So those subjects amongst the things we're going to now delve into with my lovely friend Annette. So anyway, here we go, on with the show. Hello, Annette.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good on a Sunday morning.
On a Sunday morning. Yes, is it nice where you are at the moment?
It's freezing, but it's good.
Freezing.
It is.
Yeah, about 0. So I think we'll be stopping in the house today due to the conditions. Well, before we carry on, Annette, is it okay if you just tell me a little bit about yourself, just so those people that obviously might not know you can have a little insight about who you are, Annette, if that's all right?
Who I am? You know me because I was in the same year as your brother at school.
Yes.
So I went to Henry Mellish. I was probably the only black person in my year at the time, at least for the first 2 or 3 years anyway. I am now a lot older than that. I've come back to live in England for a while just to bring up the kids. I was living in Japan, married to a Japanese guy, got 2 kids. And my surname is Furuyama.
Which
Very
is
different from what it was at school.
Well, it was Annette's Hall at school, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How have you found things this year, Annette, with regards to the COVID situation?
I'm not worried about it. My first brother had an infection when he was very young, and we were quarantined from him for about almost 6 months, I think, when I was at school. So, and he was a first year at school, and I was in second year at school, and so we had a quarantine in our house. We couldn't see him. His mates from his year used to come down and wave at the window and stuff. So, being in COVID, to me, is easy. It's no different, to say the truth. I mean,
Really?
I already know what's going on from that situation. Also, living with almost nothing when I went to live in Japan at first is almost like being in lockdown.
What took you to Japan in the first place, Annette, if you don't mind me asking?
When I was a kid, I used to watch a thing called Water Margin and Monkey, and then in the 80s I used to watch a thing called Shogun, and then Karate Kid, which is now big at the moment. So I started teaching myself Japanese around the age of about 10. Didn't tell anybody at school, by the way. And I went through it all. And I went to Japan in my mid-20s, got married, had kids, had a career, came back. And I've been here for about 14 years now. But I will be back there in about 2. So.
And what's the situation like in Japan at the moment? Is it any worse?
It's about as bad as England is now. It wasn't very. It was okay until about November, but it's now in emergency lockdown as of yesterday, day before yesterday.
Okay, well, thanks for giving us that information about yourself and that. What I want to talk about with you today, if that's all right, is your healthy obsession with our school, Henry Mellish. Since you've left school, you seem to have got well involved with school reunions, and I know you've done a book, and
Another one coming up soon.
there's that Facebook group, is it?
Yeah.
Henry Mellish Memories, with it's about a couple of thousand members on that site, and
Yeah.
so I'm just interested to know, Annette, is what is your fascination with the Henry Mellish School?
Henry Mellish, well, school at that point, obviously at Henry Mellish, it was basically the best time of my life, I think, personally. I, like I said, was a rare person there. So a lot of...
How did you find that at the time? I mean, obviously, society has moved on a long stretch since the days, would I say that would be probably 70s going into the 80s. How did you find it at school? Did you come across any sort of, racist abuse or anything like that? Or?
It was easy for me. I don't know if I was scared at school because I didn't, in Bulwell, where I used to live, everybody knew each other. We knew next door neighbours. We used to babysit each other's kids. We used to hang out on the park. We used to go down Bulwell bogs. We went, we did everything. So we went to the local youth centre and everything else. There was no difference living in Bulwell then than it is living. Well, there's a big difference in living it now, but it wasn't. There's no difference being a black person in that day. For me, I don't know about anybody else, but for me, living where I lived at the time, like I say, we were very rare black people in the whole of the school, and the people that lived there, even though we had a rivalry between Derbyshire School, I knew everybody from that area. Do you know what I mean? I used to live in Bedford before I went to live in Bulwell, so I used to know a lot of people all over the city, and it was no different. It was like a family atmosphere for me.
I agree. I mean, my father was old-fashioned, whereas he brought me and Steve up to say, treat people how they treat you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what their colour is, what their religion is. It doesn't matter what you are. You're nice to us, we'll be nice to you. That's quite simple as I say it was back then, basically. So
yeah, but my mum also told us that when you see injustice, you step in.
Yeah.
So when there used to be fights at school, I used to be there. What are you fighting for? What's going on there? Do you know what I'm saying? What are you doing that for? There's no reason for that. Or if there was arguments or whatever, sometimes I would go in and say, "Whoa, what's going on?" Do you know what I mean? So if I saw it, and obviously I wasn't involved in most of them, but I would sometimes be the peacemaker. So it was both of the same thing. You treat people as you want to be treated, but if you do see injustice, you need to,
I always remember you, that as a really friendly character. You was always nice to everybody, and everyone seemed to be nice to you. So
yeah. And when we used to have like the fights, like between Derbyshire or Ellis Guildford or whatever, and people used to come and gun for me, or gun for people like me. I never used to hear it, but I used to hear it after the fact, but it never came to me because people would go, "Whoa, we're not going that far."
Explain that's rival schools.
Yeah.
In the area, Ellis Guildford, Derbyshire, and Henry Mellish.
Yeah.
Didn't usually get on very much.
Yeah.
I mean, am I right in saying you was in my brother's form?
Yeah.
Steve?
Twice. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Stephen sends his love, by the way. I told him I was talking today. So, what memories do you have of Steve from school?
Mostly sporting, really. I
Yeah.
mean, I did lots of sports. We both did lots of sports. Most of the sports, really, football, the rugby, things like that. But I don't.
I mean, he probably would say that he was your crush at school, and he was dead good looking.
Was he?
Everybody loved him. That's what he'd probably say.
Probably, yeah. Everybody did love him, actually. There were quite a few people that were crushing on him.
And himself.
Yeah. Kind of.
Too, bless him.
Yeah, but nothing happened. I never went out with anybody at school or anything either, so I was probably too scary to go out with anybody at school.
Oh, yeah. I've spoken briefly about my crushes at school.
Aye.
I did a recent video with, like I say, with Alistair Morrison, the photographer, and one of my first loves from school was brought into the conversation,
Ooh.
which was Chantal Stevens, who's now Chantal Jennison,
Okay.
and I've kept in touch with Chantal since then. I've also mentioned I had crushes on, there's Kerry Langdon and Helen Woolley. And in fact, I've got a form photo that I'm going to tag on the end of the video,
Yeah.
which I've sent to you. And you will probably know what you're like. You'll probably know most of the faces.
I know their faces. Yeah.
I think Helen was on the back row on that photograph in the middle, so I'll pop that on the end. So in relation to who were your school crushes? There wasn't any really, or?
There was quite a few. My first one was a guy called Adam Mulford.
Okay.
My second one was a guy called Derek Tucker.
Oh, I know Derek Tucker.
But my first one was a guy in sixth form, was a guy called David Maxwell.
Right.
But he was in sixth form when I was in first year. I thought he was so cool. He was in his, because we had CCF at school, right?
Yeah.
We had he was kind of the first person I saw at school that had his RAF uniform, and I thought, wow. I would have been 11, he would have been about 16.
You like the uniform?
Yeah, because obviously I've got an obsession with CCF as well.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
You were an active member, didn't you?
Yeah, very active.
I mean, that's something I could never get involved with because I was a bit too lazy, to be fair. I didn't have the discipline. I could do with being CCF now, I think.
I think most of us could now.
Yeah, give us a bit of discipline and get a few pounds off. But
Yeah.
what type of stuff did you do with the CCF? Did you?
I was in the RAF side because I love flying. I used to go, when I was small, about 6. I went to live in not live, but stay in Jamaica for about 3 months.
Okay.
When I was about 6, so I love flying on airplanes and stuff like that, and being in airports. So I was in the RAF side. So we did the flying. We flowed in Chipmunks. We flowed in Chinooks. We went to protest camps. We went to all different RAF camps, and sometimes some naval camps up and down the country. But I liked the actual camping and stuff like that. You know, going out and being in the wild and being in the forest and stuff like that. So
You're a lot more holiday than me, Annette.
Huh?
I'm afraid I'm a big wuss. I don't like camping. If I go camping, it's got to be glamping.
Oh no! See, that's my husband. He's Japanese, but he's never ever been camping in his life.
I don't like the outdoors in that respect. I like a nice warm bed and a hot shower. If you can give me those things, I'm all right. Otherwise, no, thank you.
Okay.
So, in relation to school, was there anything you didn't like about school? Anything you can remember at all?
What I didn't like about school? Oh, the punishment.
Did you get much punishment?
Man, I heard about the punishments, and it used to be the same people all the time for some reason. But I didn't like punishments. I heard it was not very, obviously very happy. Good.
Well, I've had a few punishments at school before.
Yeah.
I had Sammy the Slipper.
I remember that.
In the music class. Was it Mr. Hart?
Yes, I did trumpet with him. He taught me trumpet.
He taught you trumpet? Well, he taught you trumpet and he gave you the slipper. Quite a difference there. I don't think it did me much good, or probably didn't tell me, as a matter of fact. It wasn't that hard, but some of the capital punishments that were still around at the time, like the cane, or the slipper, were still active at the time, I believe, and I think both mine and Stephen's backside saw some of them punishments at the time. We weren't necessarily naughty, although we do get nicknamed the Naughty Wardle Brothers these days for some strange reason. But we weren't that bad. I mean, we're just a bit cheeky.
Yeah.
So, generally, was quite well behaved, I think. Anyway, but so did you have a favourite teacher at school?
My favourite teacher was Mr. Bates. I still talk to him. Yeah. I still talk to him. He's around.
He's still around?
He's 84 now.
84. I mean, do you keep in touch with some of the teachers?
Only Mr. Bates. I have seen Mr. Roberts, because sometimes we go to the same gigs, because I used to do music and stuff, so sometimes we see each other at certain concerts, like 60s or 70s concerts, things like, you know what I mean, things like that. I have seen, what's her name, Miss Bennett. I think she came in late during the year.
Right.
Over Miss Middleton in the RAF. I've seen her a couple of times. I've seen Miss Madison a couple of times as well. But other than that, the ones that I actually like Mr. Strutt, I went to his funeral when I first got back here. Mr. Jimson.
He was a character.
Yeah. When I first got back from Japan, I found out that he'd died. And so that's probably the reason why I kind of helped to resurrect the reunion, because I was a bit devastated thinking, oh no, Mellish is going to be broken down. And also Mr. Strutt had just died. And Mr. Jimson had died in the same year. So, and they were my other two favourite.
I mean, just to say the school's no longer there, is it?
No, which is annoying because it's just, honestly, if I had won the lottery, I would have bought the school and I made it back. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
that was more.
Like I say, healthy obsession, bless you. You could have done something with it, but well, I know you've put a video on YouTube, haven't you, that shows the inside of the school and the grounds, which is quite interesting. So perhaps I need to pop a link to that in the comments when we're done as well. So
I mean, and the guy that did it, the animation one you're looking at, thinking of, aren't you?
Is that one as well? Yes.
Yeah. The guy that made it, I didn't know, but he died as well about 2 or 3 years ago.
Really?
But when I talked to him about, because I was always thinking in my head, I got this obsession. I still want the actual building as a like a model or something. I'm trying to find somebody to make the building, so I can have a model of it in my house. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm sure that's something that we should be able to do. I mean, especially with that plan.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's plans that do exist to the original building.
I have the plans.
You have the plans.
I have everything. I took them all.
Well, that's just something I was going to ask you, Annette, is how did you get hold of all that memorabilia, and how did you decide what to take and what to leave, or did you take everything?
I took as much as I could. Is the answer to that question.
As much as you could.
The answer, after the 2009 reunion that we had, because it was, 8 years or something, by the time, when I got back to Japan, I heard that Mellish was going to go because it had gone somewhere else down in Ball after the, near where Derbyshire used to be. I was devastated, by the way, because I thought it was going to go on forever, like probably most people that kind of like this school.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, if we're going to have one, we're going to need to try and at least have a celebration of what it was. So there was me and a lady and a few old teachers that kind of worked together to make it happen. So when they were displaying all the stuff in what was the English classes on the ground floor, I thought, that cannot go anywhere. That's got to come to me, you know what I'm saying? So I asked Mr. Roberts, who was the previous head teacher, who used to be our PE teacher, and he says, take or scan what you like. So I brought all of my scanning equipment for a whole day and scanned everything in.
Really?
Every single thing. And everything else I couldn't scan, I said, can I take them? He said, yeah, just take them. Because if they aren't, they're going to go to the Nottingham archive. So I took as much as I could on that one day.
I'm glad you did.
So
I'm a little bit like you. I've got to confess that I'm a bit of a hoarder, and I do tend to keep things, but unfortunately, I haven't got an awful lot left over from school.
Okay.
I know you obviously have got quite a lot. I mean, you just released that photo book. Are you planning on bringing any more of those out? And
I've got one coming out at the beginning of February. I'm just finishing the ones from.
Can I be in one, please? Can I be in one, please?
If you give me a picture of what you're in, then definitely. I haven't got those beyond 1996 because I wasn't there. And only a few people give me some. So if anybody's got one from 1986 towards the end, that's fine. But I've got anything pre-86 back to 1929 when it
I think I was a class of 86.
Yeah.
That's actually when I left that year, 1986. I've sent you that form photograph, which you've probably seen.
Yeah. But I'm
doing this morning.
Sorry?
I've had a bit of a dig round this morning, and guess what I found?
What?
Well, the school reports.
How are they?
It's quite amusing reading, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because I go back to the summer of 1982,
Okay.
Paul Wardle in Form 1N. My punctuality was good. I got a house point, a house merit, 1 house point. I don't know how I got that. There might have been money changing hands, I have no idea. But I'm looking at my grades, and most of my grades are like English AA,
Good.
Maths AA.
Oh dear.
Comment here, look. Paul has consistently produced work of a very high standard this term. Well done. And yeah, it's mostly A's and B's. But
Okay.
then it's a little bit amusing. I go through the latter years, and there's not so many A's and B's anymore.
Yeah, I got that as well.
Then it goes on to C's and D's. I've got quite an interesting comment from RE. We go forwards to the winter of 1983-84.
Okay.
Forward 3N. And my RE result said, Paul's grades do not reflect his true ability. He's missed much of the work, insisting he had health clinic appointments. I hate to think what the health clinic appointments were, but I think I must have more or less bunked off the whole of the term.
Okay.
To get to religious education and end up with a D and a D. So I get to the last one I've got, which is September to January 85.
Yeah.
September 84, January 85, 4N. And yes, it's all C's and D's now. So it looks like the enthusiasm wore off, the novelty wore off, and probably a bit of complacency, crept in.
I just made it. I mean, the first couple of years, 2 or 3 years, it was, yes, A's and B's, mostly A's and B's, mostly A's more than B's. By the time I got to 3rd year, because by that point I started singing and stuff like that, right, and going around and doing a bit of stuff and going to a few gigs, and doing also some sports stuff, my enthusiasm waned academically. I scraped through school, got 4 O levels and a couple of GCSEs, and then I went to 6th form. But by that point, I was already in a band and stuff, so I was but I kind of scraped through. Didn't go to university or anything. So.
I'm surprised, because I thought you was going to say I was a proper girly swat and I got A's in everything.
No.
Were you a prefect at school in that?
Yeah, I was, and I scraped through doing that as well. Only because my sister was the first black-haired girl the year before, that I scraped to get to be a prefect.
Well, I suppose I was quite lucky at school when I joined. That Steve was already there, so it's nice having an older brother at school, because in the first few years he fights the battles for you.
Yeah, I did that for my brothers as well. I had
so when you have a bit of trouble.
My sister didn't do anything for me there. I had an older sister. She left me on my own, but my 2 younger brothers, I helped, especially my youngest, who was a bit of a pain anyway. I helped him out.
I mean, I want to say, with regards to, you've obviously organised, or you've been part of organising the school reunion parties, and all of those have been absolutely fantastic. So, I mean, the last one was sort of reported as the last one. Do you think there'll be any chance of a future one, going forward?
I'm up for them. I'm up to doing it until I die, basically. And it sounds really, really, psycho, but I love to see everybody, because, like I said, I've been away from Britain, at least away from Ball, almost 25, nearly 30 years. So for me to come back and to show my husband and kids where I was brought up and how I am who I am, is basically going to Mellish. Do you know what I'm saying? And so as much as anybody would want them, I would love to keep continuing them until, I mean, after COVID and stuff. So I would say maybe in a couple of years, if we're still all right and we're still here.
Well,
I'd like to another one. You know what I mean?
When life finally returns to normal.
Yeah.
But it would be lovely to see everybody again. I mean, and the last couple of years, to be fair, we've lost a few people too.
Yeah.
the amount of people around about our age group that have passed away is getting quite a worrying aspect. It's a bit close to home.
Yeah.
When it's people that was, you know, at school with you and used to knock about with on a daily basis, and they're not around anymore.
Yeah, but I consider myself, even though I'm 53, I still consider myself pretty young. Do you know what I mean?
You are pretty
People who had died before they were in their 50s, I'm like, why are you guys dying so early?
well. Unfortunately, that's life. That's the that's how it is. And obviously with the circumstances with COVID, there's probably going to be a lot more of that type of thing.
Yeah, I think
So yeah, so looking forward to your next instalment with your books then, Annette. What I normally do to wrap up the conversations, and if it's all right with yourself, would you be kind enough to? My mum's name is Anne. Would you be kind enough to say hello to my mum for me, please, Annette?
Oh, hello, Anne. I think I never met her twice in my life.
Oh, did you meet my mum?
I'm sure I met her twice when I was at school, or I've seen her when I've met her probably. But hello, Anne. Half of my name. My name's Annette.
Thank you very much, Annette. That's really kind of you. So it just leaves me to say thank you very much for talking to me today.
You're welcome.
And keep in touch.
I will.
Let us know about your new releases when they come out in regards to your photo books or any other publications you might do.
Don't forget the blog that I reposted it last night. There's a blog with my name on it now because a gentleman who first went to, or who second went into the merge from the 50s to 60s, he has got his own blog now because remember it used to be an all boys school.
Yes.
Until 1973.
Oh, yes. Well reminded, Annette.
So I sent him some stuff because I had everything, by the way.
Well, what I'll try doing is I'll put the link to the blog in the comments as well.
Yeah, because I'm going to continue that now.
Yes.
From when the girls started, because I've got all the girl stuff as well. You know, I got after 1974. He wanted bits that was missing from 29, which is when it opened, until the girls started, because he was doing the boy set. Because he went in 1959 or something to 64 or something like that. So I've given him his stuff. He's now added it to his blog, which said I will continue from his blog. That's
fantastic. You total completist. You got the whole story.
Basically, it's like a "Who do you think you are" thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
it's quite funny, and I quite like things like that.
It's been fascinating talking to you, Nat. So really, I appreciate your time today.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem at all. It's been lovely speaking to you. Thanks, Annette.
You're welcome. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.